Kevin, Al, and this is their roadmap to success. I have some treats here to kind of keep them motivated or interested. Didn't need that when I first started the session because they invaded my personal space like there's no tomorrow. I went through my series of escalating consequences with the guardians to disagree with the dogs for invading their personal space or really doing anything they don't like. So if you, we don't have a video for that here. If you want to know what they are, if you go to doggoneproblems.com, click on dog training tips on the right side of the page, there will be a search box. You can type in escalating consequences. There'll be a write-up for other clients that I've done where I have a video where I specifically talk about them. These guardians know what they are. So we're going to use those to disagree with the dogs. And also we're going to make sure, like in this case, I give them both a bully stick. At first, Kevin was trying to take Al's over and over, so I had to intercede multiple times. And always outlasting your dog is one of the dirty dog behavior secrets I've learned in doing this for a living. A lot of people let the dog get its own way and give up early, and that just teaches the dog to be defiant. So you always have to outlast your dog. The other dirty secrets I found is to sit. Try to disagree with the dog before they do the wrong thing. If you can catch them with good timing, that really helps. Okay, so I'd like the guardians to use the escalating consequences to disagree, and I'd like them to recreate situations where the dogs demonstrate unfavorable dog behaviors. A good example of this is we have a table here right in front of the couch, and the dogs like to shove their way through there. Now, if there's nobody blocking it and they want to walk through it, that's fine. But I'm guessing they kind of shark their way around that table over and over again. And they're kind of nudging into the humans, which is kind of a disrespectful thing. It's not showing respect for the human's personal space. So I would make a rule that if somebody's sitting on the couch, the dogs are not allowed to come between the table and the couch there. It's a little like maybe 5-foot zone, sit, that they're not allowed to push their way into. If they can walk without touching anybody, that's fine. Other things we can do to recreate the situation is, again, get a piece of roast beef, put it down on the table here, and careful while you step, and then we're not going to actually eat the roast beef. We're going to microwave it to make it the aroma really alive and make the dogs very interested in it, and that gives us a chance to practice. When we're eating an actual meal, that's a horrible time to try to train your dog because they're trying to get the food and we're trying to eat the food and we're trying to have a conversation, and it's just very frustrating. So you can, just like when we play golf or any other sport, usually take a practice swing. We'll allow that to happen. That's okay for now. So if we're going to eat a meal here, right now the guardians put the dogs into their kennels. Well, that prevents them from getting in our face, but it doesn't teach them new behavior. And I would much rather have create a scenario where we can help the dogs practice a more desirable behavior by recreating it with roast beef or something like that. If you have a problem, a dog behavior problem, first ask yourself, have I taught the dog how it's supposed to behave in this situation? If you haven't, then it's your fault the dog misbehaves, not the dog's fault. They live in our world. It's incumbent upon us to teach them, hey buddy, what they need to do. There we go. So let's come over here. Nope. So there we go. So now I'm going to be the authority figure. Now this is actually his bone, but he kind of left it on the floor, and we're doing this, so I said that's okay. But he's trying to take the bone here. And if I allow that to happen, then the dogs see, well, then we're in on it on our own. Sit. We have to handle things for ourselves. I would rather have the dogs go to the humans as the authority figures. Sit. Put it down. And have the humans handle it for them. Going back to recreating things, so we can recreate by having a piece of roast beef. Now dealing with two dogs that's on a plate that's been microwaved sitting on the table. Now dealing with two dogs simultaneously is going to be hard. As you can see, I'm having difficulty here. So maybe one of the guardians takes one of the dogs out for a walk, and the other guardian here does the microwave, puts a plate of food right there, and then practices enforcing the rule that the dogs are not allowed to be on the black carpet when there's food present. So this way we're only working with one dog. It's a different dynamic with just one dog at a time, and you get to focus on practicing and teaching the dog the behavior that's expected. And after you rep it enough times, the dog will start doing it on its own. He'll come over, sit here, which is the dog bed that we're going to start calling anchor. Nope, you're going to have to stay here, buddy. Other rules that we went over: not being allowed the furniture because the higher a dog sits, the more rank or status they have. Having to sit and wait before they go down the stairs to the basement. Having to sit and wait for permission to eat food that is waiting in their bowls, and they're only going to get permission after the human eats first, and we're going to feed whichever dog is calmest first. So we're giving the dog a reward. All right, that shows good comfort. But if he's always taking his bone, the guardians mentioned that he ate the bully stick first by himself, and they're like, that's the first time he's ever been able to do that by himself. Now, they're brothers, and he's kind of deferred to him because he's a little bit smaller than his brother, but eventually it's going to be an item that he doesn't want to give up, and we don't want it to become a fight and a problem. And so the more that the humans demonstrate our leadership by correcting the dogs, by keeping one dog away from the other, by protecting one dog when it's eating food from the other dog, the dogs see that we're being even-handed, that we're being consistent, and that helps them see us acting as a leader. We have a tendency to think of ourselves as leaders, but we don't do a lot of things in our actions that communicate to the dogs that we actually are, like consistently enforcing rules. Let me see, another rule would be the dog has to sit before we let it in or out of a door. Now, we probably won't want to do that until the dogs are fully potty trained. The video above this one is on remedial potty training, and from everything I saw, I don't think this is at all a case of marking. I think this is a case of the dog being confused that they're not allowed to pee in the house. So the guardians are going to need to spend the next week or two really going over the the remedial potty training tips so that we can get those handled, because it's very frustrating to have your dog urinating in your house. Now, once we get to that point, we'd probably either clean this carpet or throw this carpet away and come up with a new one, and make sure we're using a cleaning solution that has the enzyme, or it breaks down the enzyme. Otherwise, they'll smell a little bit of residual urine left in the floor, and that can create an attraction for the other dog to come and pee on it as well. Let me see, invading personal space. I'd like the guardians to start enforcing a 1-foot bubble of personal space. There's nothing wrong with me having the dog on the lap. I'm not doing a good job of it right now, but I'm doing it because I want a dog in the video. But there's nothing wrong with the dog being on our lap if we invite the dog up. Right now, these dogs are taking. Now, having a handful of treats here, just because I have treats doesn't mean he gets them. Now, he's accosting my hand, trying to take them from me. And I think that's an encapsulation of this, primarily Kevin, but both dogs' perception is that they have the same authority as their humans. They can take what they want or whatever they can get away with. We want them to start asking. This is why petting with a purpose will be so powerful. So I'd like the guardians to avoid petting the dogs at all, for any reason, unless the dog does something to earn it first. Sit. Sit. Notice I only said sit once. The more you say a command, the less you mean it. So I usually say it once, then I make it happen. Sit. I'm making it happen here by having a high-value treat. Sit. As soon as his butt hits the ground, I'm popping the treat in his mouth and saying the word sit. Remember, whenever you're using a treat, you're getting to say the command word after the treat goes in the dog's mouth. How about it down? Down? Down. Now, when I'm giving a command, I'm actually saying it twice. I gave him the command, during the command stage, I say down, which is the command word. Then when I gave him the reward, I said the command word again during the reward stage. Yes, I appreciate the love and kisses, buddy. Also, the guardians and I have experienced a little bit of gastrular turbulence during this session. I'm guessing that the food that they're feeding might have a little bit of grain in it. Dogs can only absorb about 10% of grains. So I recommended that they go to the Green Spot, which is my favorite pet store in Omaha. It's the only store owned by people who studied animal nutrition as their degree. One of the guardians here works at a pet clinic, so she might be able, or at a vet clinic, so she might get a better break ordering through work. But we want to find a food that is grain and cord free. He has a bunch of allergies, so we also need to take those things into account when we're doing that. Sometimes there's cheap fillers that are common in a lot of dog food, so if somebody's feeding a higher quality food can eliminate gas, but it's also, the nice thing is it also will reduce the amount of poop that comes out of your dog. The better quality food you feed, the more they absorb, the less poop comes out, the less poop you have to clean up. All right, let me see what else. We didn't go over walking, but they're not very good on walks. So I'm about to show the guardians how to use a martingale collar and add the special twist of the leash to the martingale to prevent them from pulling on the leash. Now, if they forget this, because this is the last thing I'm going to do in the session, if they forget the rules for what I call a structured walk, again, if you go to dog training tips on our website and click on the word, or in the search box type in structured walk, the rules that I have for a structured walk will come up with a bunch of write-ups that I've done where I have a video specifically talking about that. But basically for dogs, whoever's in front is in charge. So if you let your dog walk in front of you, your dog's going to be thinking it's in a leadership position. That will make them more reactive to the people that you surround. And also if you have two dogs sibling rivalry, if I'm in front, well, I want to be in front. And then you have both dogs pulling in front, and that's no fun for the walk. The other thing is, do they get excited before you take them for a walk?
They don't really know.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So then I will skip that. If that turns out to be the case, let me know, and I can describe that for you later on. Okay, Kevin, can you sit for us? Sit. That's very good. All right, this is Kevin and Al's roadmap to success. Remember, sit. Remember, Everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it. We'll see you out there.